Now, right off the top, I don't want to accuse somebody of something that they're not guilty of, especially something as horrendous as DV or CA. I don't want to accuse somebody falsely of these things, but I will say that throughout the series and particularly this particular season, what I called Meri's resurgence season, where we're starting to get a little feel, a little taste of Meri and the lighter Meri with her friends and how she's getting along with people other than the Brown family. There is a question of whether she's actually being lifted up so she can be brought down. And I say this because as I'm listening to Cody is making very specific accusations about Meri. Now, he's not coming out and saying that Meri did this and Meri did that to a point. But if you are sitting there with a family, a friend, or a coworker, and they had mentioned to you that in their relationship with their significant other, they're afraid to talk about certain things. They're afraid to express themselves. They don't know how this person is going to react emotionally. When they talk to the person that they're dealing with, they're met with hostility and aggression. Nobody would sit there and say, wow, you have a healthy, fruitful relationship. Clearly, it's just a matter of understanding how your discourse works. The first thing you would go to is red flag, red flag, red flag. And we would also understand that not all mistreatment situations revolve around somebody physically doing something to you. Some of the most damaging, long-lasting effects of certain types of abuse is the abuse that happens here. Not the ones that somebody come and put their hands on you, but the things that are said, the way you're being treated, the way they make you feel. And we can't ignore that because we can sit here all day and talk about Robin and Cody and how they've done things and how they've abused people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, what happens when the people who have been accused of mistreatment are in fact being mistreated and they're the victims? Do we ignore that? Or do we just keep chugging along like we've been chugging along? These are some of the questions that I struggle with. And so I want to be very clear. I'm not presenting this as a fan theory. It seems like a couple of my videos have already gone down this route. I'm not presenting this as a fan theory. I'm merely asking the fan question. When I hear Cody say certain things, it sends off red flags to me. For instance, during this very episode, Cody had this to say.
I never tell Meri what's going on in my heart anymore. It's not actually safe. It's a weird space to be with the severance package thing because I don't know if this is passive aggressive or if it's just aggressive or if it's a joke. And I don't know, and I haven't known my whole marriage.
And that's one of the things. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're joking, if they're serious. And one of the more dangerous things, if you've ever been around somebody who is unstable, okay, you could be laughing one minute and you could be dog fighting the next minute. Like you just don't know where you are. And that unsurety creates anxiety, creates all kinds of stress in the situation. Now, here's one of the things that I talk about. We've actually had a conversation about on one of my lives on the after show party. Right after the show airs, we have conversations on my channel. Come check it out if you haven't. But one of the things we talked about is if indeed Cody is a narcissist, he should seek help because being a narcissist as it is a diagnosis of a mental disorder. And like all mental disorders, it can be treated. Like you should seek treatment if you have any type of issues. Like if you have bipolar disorder, if you have schizophrenia or whatever the case may be, you can seek help. And there is help out there and it's available. There are no throwaway people. One of the things that I've noticed, especially when it comes to people who have narcissistic disorders, there is a way for them to attend therapy, learn the terms, the phrases, learn the vernacular, learn maybe exercises and things that they can implement to try to manipulate other people. And When I hear Cody talking about, oh, it's not safe for me, that's a therapy term. Like, people don't walk around saying, I don't feel safe, I don't feel secure, I don't feel good. These are things that you pick up in therapy. So clearly, when Cody was going to therapy, he's learning these terms, he's learning these little catchphrases that he's using, and you learn how things can be laid out. So I'm not just throwing this out there that Cody is 100% right and this is what he's saying. I do leave room for the possibility that he may be saying these things so that he can get a particular type of reaction. As Meri's leaving and she's rising in popularity, or this may be something which will elevate her as far as the fan base is concerned, he's coming right behind her to cut her legs out from underneath her with a hint of an accusation. There's also the point that when we look historically, Robin came into the family and she too made these types of accusations about her ex-husband. And when she made these types of accusations, she walked right up to the line of saying that it was a DV situation, but she never came out and openly said, this is what happened to me specifically. This is what I went through. This is how I am a victim of this particular instance. And it worked even within the family. Like, I think a lot of the family members kind of bought into that narrative that she was a victim, but she never actually came out to the fan base and said, this is what she went through. So it's kind of curious from that respect. There's also a point where we look at the history of Cody and Meri's relationship. How does Cody describe Meri and his relationship? Because again, this isn't just a one-off comment where he said, I was unsure what she meant by the whole settlement stuff. This is something that he's not only been pushing this whole season, but he's been pushing for a few seasons, that he's unsure of his relationship with her, that he doesn't know how she's going to react, that she's been very hostile and aggressive, so on and so forth. It has been very difficult for him to be with her. This is also some of the foundation that a lot of people who talk bad about Meri or have ill feelings towards Meri and her character on the show, it actually is rooted in a lot of Cody's commentary about Meri. So I want to be very clear about this. But earlier in the season, this is one of the things that he said when he described his relationship with Meri early on, in the early days, when everything was supposed to be great, wonderful, they couldn't keep their hands off each other. He gives another perspective of that instance.
I didn't know who she was. When we got married, she was very different. And I think just there was some baggage that Meri had that I didn't know about. Initially, I felt like I could live with it. I mean, here, baby, want a piece of gum? You know I don't like spearmint. I can't live in a world where she is constantly angry at me. And as time went on, our relationship just got worse and worse and worse.
Now, there's so many things there. That statement in and of itself is action-packed. It's jam-packed full of flags and signifiers. Like, there's a point where he talks about there was a baggage that she came into the relationship with that he was unaware of, but he had to learn to deal with. So he's coming in, he's trying to heal this situation. Again, if we gender swapped it, or we took the names off of this situation and we were just talking about people, friends, family, or coworkers who we know and are acquainted with, and we heard somebody say that, red flags would be going off. Red flags would be going off. When we talk about him saying that he felt like, even though it was difficult, he felt like he could live with it. It was something that he could live with and he could get around it and he could make the relationship work. These types of, I'm going to stick in there and make the relationship work. Ironically, this is one of the things that people who support Meri use to say, or at least justify, why she stayed in the Brown family marriage for as long as she did and why she tried to stay around the Brown family as long as she did, because she was trying to make it work. So he co-opted some of the terms and the phrases that she uses and a lot of her supporters use when trying to explain why she would stay in this type of relationship if it was so bad. There's also a point where he talks about, again, she was constantly angry. This becomes a consistent thing. Like the anger issues, the inability to be able to control oneself, the explosive nature of directing your anger onto one person. And when Cody talks about this, we have to keep in mind that Cody is talking about this as an adult. He's talking about this as an adult male partner who is involved in this relationship, which may or may not have been toxic. And because of the toxic nature of this relationship, where he was unsure of the person who he was dealing with, he didn't know whether she was happy or she was sad, but there was a very quick possibility that she would have a quick turnaround or a firecrack spark moment where she would explode into anger, and he would have to deal with the fallout of that anger. Then he goes on to describe how when Janelle came into the family, she diluted some of the anger towards him because Janelle absorbed some of that anger and some of that mistreatment, again adding to the toxic nature of the relationship. And then when Christine came into the family, she absorbed more of that anger. So instead of it being directed towards Janelle, it started, well, I guess originally it starts with Cody. Then Janelle comes in, it's diluted to Janelle and Cody, but mostly targeted towards Janelle. And then when Christine comes in, she dilutes it even further. But that doesn't resolve the problem. She's still angry, and as the relationship goes on, she finds simply more reasons to be angry. Infertility issues, money issues, sharing her husband. These types of things could build up, which could cause for future acting out or angry eruptions. This isn't out of pocket. So what I'm saying is, I'm not necessarily coming out saying that Cody is 100% right and we should take everything he says as gospel. But what I am saying is that the way he's leveling this accusation, it becomes more realistic, and it becomes more believable. And this is one of the dangers with this type of thing. This is part of the reason why I don't like false accusations, because you can come in and ruin somebody based off of innuendo and hints and things of that nature and destroy their reputation for no good reason. And then you not only destroy that person, but you also damage other people who have really suffered, and it damages their ability to come forward. But I think that these are things that we have to talk about because it's being presented on the show. Now, above and beyond everything else, we could say, well, Cody is a dishonest person. But this isn't the first time that we heard about Meri being accused of these terrible things. For instance, Mykelti came out during the course of a tweet and said that she was one of Meri's victims, and she had talked about it, and she had said that no sooner did she came out with the statement saying that this is what's going on, she retracted that statement. And then, of course, there was the infamous podcast that Paedon participated in, where he said this about his relationship with Meri.
We were never safe around her.
Did your dad know that?
Not for several years. I will never hate Robin because she opened several eyes. She opened several eyes. And because of that, I will never hate her. After having experienced negative relationship, she knew how to find other negative relationships. Robin probably saved several of our lives. Not definitely, but very maybe.
Now, first and foremost, Paedon refers to Robin, and he says that, the kids were going through this, and a lot of the kids didn't like, he went on to say that the kids didn't really have a strong relationship with Meri. They didn't really miss Meri, and even the whole catfishing thing, it really didn't affect the kids because as far as they were concerned, they were disjointed for her for a number of years before the catfishing incident. But even with that being said, one of the things that Paedon really points out is that, did your dad know? No, dad didn't know how we were being treated. And I'm so thankful that Robin came into the family. If we stop right there, if dad didn't know that the kids were being mistreated, it's also possible that road goes both ways. The kids were unaware of how she was treating the dad because the dad spreading his time out between the other wives, and they're not necessarily in the house with Meri, and they weren't necessarily welcome in Meri's house, as far as I understand, openly. Like, she didn't have an open door policy where the kids could be in and out of her house like that. And that's even expressed in the book, Becoming Sister Wives. So it's very possible that the kids were unaware, Paedon would be unaware of how Meri was treating Cody. But he knew from his experience, and this is from his experience, and I'm not saying that this is 100% true or accurate, but the way he relays it from his experience, he was being mistreated by Meri. And then when he levels that accusation, which is a hard accusation to level at somebody, he said that when Robin came into the family, because of her previous experience with abuse, she was able to recognize the abusive nature of Meri and that relationship, and it very well saved his life. That's huge. To say that it saved your life and then to back off of it and say, well, maybe not literally, but possibly literally, like, that's a serious thing. That's not just somebody yelling at you and making you feel bad. That's, he's saying that it saved my life, meaning I was in physical peril. So this is a different thing. And again, when you lay that on top of Cody's accusation that Meri has this anger and these anger issues, that becomes problematic. Because again, if any of these things were being said about Kody or Robin, then people would be picking it up like, strawberries on the side of the road. But we can't ignore the fact that in some instances, women can be the abusive partner just as much as men can. Okay. It happens. It is a thing. And we have to be aware of it. Now, again, I don't know how I really feel about this. That's why I'm posing it as just putting it out there as a question of things that I'm observing on the show and things that I have concerns about. And when we talk about Robin and her relationship with Meri, there was a point, even previously, where Meri had asked to get Solomon to go to Utah with her to visit Leon in Utah while they were in school. And she comes over to Kody and Robin, asks can she take Solomon, who I think was very young at the time. I think it was like 3 or 4 years old at the time. This is season 10, episode 5. She comes over, asks can she take Solomon with her to Utah. And Robin quickly turns around and says, no, I don't think so. No, and she gives an excuse, but she's very adamant about Meri not taking Solomon and having him away from her overnight. And the excuse was used that, oh, he's not sleeping well, et cetera, et cetera. But there is a firmness and a strength that she had, which historically Robin is not known for showing on the show. Like, I'm not going to pretend like Robin wasn't strong in private or off the show when the cameras weren't around. But she rarely showed that level of strength and determination on the show. And she was very strong about Meri not taking her child anywhere. Then we updated to just this last episode where Meri had this to say, and it's kind of that weird part where she's revealing something about her relationship with Robin, which can be taken a few ways, but through this filter, it becomes something a little different. Let's take a listen.
It's going to be sad to not be able to see them. And at the same time, I haven't seen them much over the past few years. Even while I've been here, honestly, I feel like it's like pulling teeth to be able to see the kids. I text Robin and I'm like, hey, let's get together, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's been hard.
Now, the weird part is, on one end, you could say that Robin usurped Meri's position as the first wife. She got what she wanted, so she wasn't really interested in having an additional relationship with Meri. And that's why she wasn't coming around for Meri. And that would make sense. But on the other hand, if you filter it through some of the things that I'm pointing out about the accusations, the latent accusations that Kody is making about how Meri is unstable, she's not safe, and she's angry all the time, et cetera, et cetera. Then you talk about the accusations from Mykelti. Then you talk about the accusations from Paedon. Paedon saying that Robin came in and recognized and saved the children from Meri. So it wouldn't make sense that Robin would expose her children in an inordinate amount of time, give Meri an inordinate amount of time to spend with her kids if she thought that Meri was in fact dangerous. So much so that she was going around pulling other parents' coattails saying, hey, she's dangerous around these kids, to the point where she saved their lives. So again, I'm very hesitant to label this onto Meri. And maybe that's part of the problem too. And I'm going to be very blunt and very honest. Maybe that's part of the problem. That's part of my struggle, is that on one end, I don't want to falsely accuse Meri or say Meri is guilty of something that, something so terrible and so horrible. But at the same time, my hesitance to be open to this as a possibility is also troubling to me, because the only reason why I pause and I give this much grace is because she is a mother, and because she is one of the wives, and because Kody has been seen as the victim for so long. And because of that, I feel like I'm giving Meri a lot more grace than I normally would to somebody who I heard these types of stories about. And so I'm looking at you guys. I don't have all the answers. I'm just merely putting this out there. I just want to, these are things that I noticed, and I wanted to get your thoughts. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. You YouTubers, make videos about it. I don't care. You can use my content to make a video. it's fine. I will not copyright strike you because these are just questions that I have and things that I noticed and things that, like I said, in any other circumstance would be a huge red flag for me. So let me know what you guys think down below. Give me your take. I'm excited to hear it. This has been my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die.